Chapter 5.1 Team. The morning after Tobias's escapade was like any other morning for Red. She rolled out of bed, shuffled into the hall, and shielded her tired eyes from the bright lights. Red sagged her shoulders, smacked her dry lips, and scratched her messy tumble of curly hair. Her feet clapped against the cold, metal floor, and she went to the common room. She was in a baggy, white t-shirt and Tobias's old, drooping, long shorts, with her scarf wrapped around her neck 3 times over. "Good morning," she croaked, with her voice raspy and dry as she entered. A dagger flew past her face. The air sliced in half beside her ear, and the knife thudded into the dartboard. The board was riddled with holes, in part because there was nothing better to do, and also because Tobias stole it from a trash heap. The whizzing knives hardly fazed Retta anymore. "Mornin'," Tobias responded. He reclined back on the couch, grabbed another knife, and readied it. Meanwhile, Retta went to the kitchen, grabbed an empty tin can, and ran it under the sink. Black specks floated to the surface. Retta plucked them out and wiped the rim with her t-shirt. Red plopped onto the couch beside him, though plop wasn't the word. The cushions were as soft as sheetrock, but she didn't care. She was used to it by now. Red grabbed a knife from the table, spun it around her fingers, and threw. The knife flew, tip pointed perfectly at the board, and with a satisfying thunk, it wedged itself beside Tobias's shot at the edge of the bullseye. "You're getting good at that," Tobias said, grabbed another knife and tossed it. He circled the center rim. "Well, I'm learning from the best, aren't I?" She grabbed another and threw. The knife stuck, and when Tobias looked, it was side by side with his. "That you are." Down the hall, Alpha came running towards them. She barreled into Red, pushed her snout into Red's lap, and wagged her tail. "Hey there, girl." Retta scratched behind Alpha's ears. She knew the spot, and Alpha's tongue dangled in ecstasy. "You want to get me your toy?" Alpha's ears perked, and she twisted her head. "Go on, give me your toy." Alpha ran away, snatched it up, and ran back to Retta with a metallic clattering. Alpha's eyes brimmed with excitement, and nestled between her fangs was a chewed-up metal can. Its open top was taped shut, and the inside was filled with stale bits of clattering cereal. "All right, girl." Retta grabbed the can, leaned over the couch, and prepared the pitch. "Ready?" Alpha stood at attention. Her eyes darted between Retta and the hall. "Go!" Retta bowled the can down the hallway, and stale cereal morsels rattled and clattered inside. Alpha gave chase. Retta stretched and turned back to Tobias. "So, Nika got tired of banging or something? It was finally quiet last night." "Yeah, finally." Tobias threw another knife into the board. "I dropped her off last night." "Dropped her off?" Retta asked, more confused than Tobias anticipated. "Like, without me?" "Yeah, you were sleeping," Tobias said. "Why?" I mean, Red grabbed a knife and threw it. "I thought we were a team." The knife hit, stuck for a moment, but fell out and clattered against the floor. Tobias's only response was a raised eyebrow when she said, "Team." "Okay," Retta interrupted. "Not like a team, but you wouldn't have wanted to be there anyway," Tobias said, and remembered the sea of STARS officers circling him like sharks. "Besides, you still gotta learn that baton. You been practicing?" She didn't tell Tobias outright, but she tried to read his mind every chance she got. When it's just you, a dog, and one other person on a ship, there are lots of opportunities for practice. But the problem was, his mind was harder to read than Deegan's. It wasn't just static that surrounded him. It was a wall. An impenetrable wall of silence blocked Retta out from reading Tobias's mind. She expected it to be easy to read Tobias and Deegan. After all, the baton pointed her to them. So why was it so much easier to read a crowd than the person she was closest to? "Yeah, I've been practicing. I'm slowly learning how to read minds." "Oh yeah," Tobias said with a devilish grin. "And what am I thinking now?" Retta creased her brows, squinted her eyes, and puckered her lips in concentration. but his mind was silent. It was like wind on an empty prairie, but she knew machinations turned behind Tobias's eyes. She grumbled under her breath, grabbed a knife in frustration, and threw it with anger. The blade hit the board with such force it sank to the shank. Ugh, I still can't get you. Maybe one day, Lil Red. He grabbed the blade and threw it casually. The blade weaved between the other knives and stuck to the bullseye. But for now, I win. He got up, grunted as he stood, and sauntered to the disheveled and destroyed dartboard. Rematch. First a bullseye wins, Retta said. He turned back, chuckled, and pulled out the knives, one by one. Fine. He pulled the final one out and turned to Red. By the way, I called in a favor. Got Claire looking for Celeste. Retta's mood could not have changed faster. She beamed with excitement, blindsided by the best news Tobias could have given her. Are you serious? Whoa, he said and tried to calm her down. Cool your jets there, Stardart. No one's found your mom, and trust me, people have been looking. It ain't gonna be easy. That's all right, I know. All right, good. You keep focusing on that baton, and I'll keep looking along the way. He returned to the couch, sat beside her, and dropped the knives in a messy pile on the table in front of them. She wanted to thank him again, but knew that wasn't Tobias's way. It wasn't a gift, it was a deal, and Retta intended to meet him halfway. Retta stuck her hand in the pile of sharp knives, pulled one out, and closed one eye to aim. So, where are we headed next? She slung the knife. Off. It hit the outer rim. Going for Luca, he said and shoved his hand into the knives with reckless abandon. Luca, Retta thought. Leaky eye Luca. The one in the photo with Nika and Tobias. Claire should be updating me soon with the location. He threw his knife. Off, but closer. He hit the inner rim. Oh, all right. Retta wanted to ask more. Specifically, she wanted to ask about Nika's photo and what tied her and Luca to Tobias. She hesitated to ask, and Tobias filled the gap of silence. Luca's dangerous. Real dangerous. Especially if he's hunting that baton. I can deal with dangerous, she said and threw her knife. Off. This time closer, but still far from Tobias. You're getting better, but don't get cocky. He grabbed the knife, spun around, and hesitated for a moment. Also, he stumbled on his words, which was rare for Tobias. Might be someone else joining the ship. That shocked Retta. Someone else? Tobias threw his knife, and this time it was off. Markedly off for Tobias. I don't like it either, but... He reached into his pocket and pulled out a printed photo. She's after Luca, too. Claire said to keep an eye for her. He slid the photo over to Retta. The photo was blurry, most likely taken from a distance without permission. Her name's Yana. Yana? Retta grabbed the photo and looked. She looked angry. Angry and serious, like she'd been wronged, and that expression left a permanent scar on her face. Her hair was black as night and sharp as a knife. She didn't look like the kind of person Red wanted to mess with. She slid the photo back to Tobias, threw a knife, and it bounced off the board. It didn't even stick the impact. Tobias threw immediately after. Bullseye. And there it is, Tobias said triumphantly, while Retta stewed beside him. Better luck next time, kid. He leaned back into the couch and took a long swig of his drink. By the way, you fuel up your ship yet? Retta hadn't even thought about that. No? You even know how much fuel's left in it? No? All right, well. He reached into his pocket and dug around. Better fuel up and have it ready, in case Claire calls. He pulled out a few crumpled paper credits and handed them to Retta. Oh. Retta perked up and greedily reached for the credits. Tobias pulled away and said, Remember, fuel, not food. Yeah, she said and snatched the credits from him. We can live without food for a few more days, but we run out of fuel and we're stuck in space forever. Yeah, I got it, she said and stood. Do I get a redemption throw? Sure, he said and crossed his arms. Good luck. She grabbed a blade and mimicked Tobias's carefree throwing style, and with calm precision, her blade sank into the board. Thunk. Bullseye. Would you look at that? Nice shot, Little Red, Retta said, mimicking his voice. Oh, you learn how to read my mind? Nope, she said with her confidence restored. I don't need the baton to read some people. She smiled at him, walked to the hangar, and waved back to Tobias. We'll rematch another day. I'm hungry and got credits to burn. Hey, don't you dare. I'm kidding, she said. I'll be back, and left. Tobias watched her leave and closed the hangar door behind her. He turned to the dartboard, saw her earlier, wildly off attempts, and then her final bullseye next to his. He smiled, and then heard a metallic clatter break the silence beside him. Tobias turned and saw Alpha. She looked at him with wide eyes, her tail wagging, and her tin can toy in her mouth. She pressed her nose into his thigh and shoved the toy into his leg. All right, girl. He grabbed the can and cocked his arm back to throw. I got you.